Hi everyone, it's Georgia, and welcome to all the poets in the crowd, as well as all of you trauma survivors on a healing journey leading you toward your greatest potential. It's National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and I felt it was important to make a little video sharing a couple of pieces of poetry that I have written about my own domestic violence experience and my healing journey. Domestic violence involves a whole range of experiences. At its core, it includes anyone who has taken power over another human being, especially somebody that you know that has taken power over another person. It can be physical, sexual, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, energetic, and even social. Why is it important to talk about this? Well, I'm a firm believer that unless you speak your truth, nothing ever changes. Even if nobody listens to my poetry or watches this video, I have this feeling that just speaking it out loud makes a dent in a problem that, of course, reaches many households, reaches many workplace experiences, and is global, is affecting the health and welfare of our communities all over the world. In addition, I think it's important to speak the truth because unless we really give voice to what's truly happening, how do we ever chart a course for change? My biggest mistake in my journey was that as I began to experience domestic violence in my late teens and my adulthood, I never had a chance or never took the opportunity to sit down with anybody and just talk about what was going on with me, whether it was a friend or with a mental health provider or a minister or someone to whom I could say, these have been my experiences. Allowing yourself to bring truth forward is the first step in healing. The first poem I'm going to read is very short, and a quick disclaimer I want to make. For those of you who are trauma survivors, it's totally okay if you want to turn this video off now, because I know that sometimes things trigger emotional response. And it's very important that you honor your emotional reaction. And if you feel like this is too much, just turn it off and turn it on later. Even my paintings behind me trigger responses in people. So it's super important that you honor what you're feeling and give yourself permission to heal at your own rate. The first poem I'm going to read is called Cancer Begins, and I named it that because we now know that there's a direct correlation between the mind and the body. In my case, because I did not attend to my mental health issues, I developed a serious illness later in life, and I know without a doubt that that illness, the root of that illness, was my not attending to the things I kept burying and pushing down. It always catches up with you sooner or later. Here's my poem called Cancer Begins. Pow! Bam! Sock! Shazam! Well, if only it was the return of Batman, but no. Here I am, laying head down on the floor, being beaten with big brute hands, thrusting pent-up rage and blood-gorged arms and back, heaving all of your disappointments onto my shoulders because I ran over a too big pothole in the street. Insanity, insanity, wherefore art thou, insanity? You know, that poem's really important. I like the way it ends because it is truly insane. When you are in a moment of being physically abused or sexually abused because it is physical, you know that you're in an experience that is simply not natural. And more importantly, you are not in control. When I was in my 20s and that experience happened, it was very clear to me that I was watching a human being turn into an animal. And all I knew was I had to flee as fast as I could. To my great regret, I did not get away. The next poem I'm going to read kind of talks about what happens when those issues go unattended. And in fact, the very first painting I ever painted kind of speaks to that. This painting is called The Unfinished Face of Violence. And quite honestly, I was at a place in my life where I felt very disassociated from my real self. I kind of had buried all of my grief and anger to the point where I just didn't have any sense of who I really was anymore. This poem, in fact, is called The Unfinished Face of Violence. Clownish girl with your distorted eyes and crooked smile and blank emotion. All of this time, you thought you were making something of yourself, and the crowds, they all agreed, but appearances can be deceiving. At home, doors are slamming and fists are being waved around, and there is that yelling and that yelling and that yelling, and suddenly the fairy tale melts off your face. Ah, circus act indeed. You know, poetry holds a lot of power to heal. And I invite you, if you are working on releasing past traumas that have either shaped you into a victim, or shaped you into something you don't want to be, or shaped you even to being an aggressor, that's what trauma does. It moves us into these archetypes that really are not our true selves. I encourage you just to take the time to go deep and attend to what has not been tended to, and do it with the support people that you need to make yourself feel whole again. This Saturday, I'll be at a poetry reading with two other amazing poets, way better than me, and I'm very excited to have that privilege to be able to read with them. And the name of the event is called Strong Women Bond Fires. And the reason I put this event together was really very simple, because I believe in the strength of coming together and sharing about our experiences that truly has made us strong, that reflect our confidence and our ability within ourselves. That is healing. That is power. When we come together and we recognize how really amazing we really are as human beings, and especially as women. Please come to the event. It is at Art on Madison, located at 14203 Madison Avenue in Lakewood. It starts at 5 o'clock with snacks if you want to bring something to share. And at 6:30, the poetry begins. I invite you to come join us and be a part of this very special evening that celebrates inner strength. Poetry, of course, is always a wonderful tool to becoming. I thank you for taking the time to listen to this video, and I really encourage all of you on the journey of becoming your most magnificent self. I encourage you to keep on keeping on. Thank you.